Hello everyone. Our discussions today will be divided into two rounds, each of them focusing on aspects of financial planning, asset protection, and more. Joining us today, we have three experts from various fields who will be sharing their knowledge and expertise. We have with us the CEO of Capital Horizon, Mr. Shane Condomo. Thank you very much for being with us here today.
My pleasure, Roshan.
Shane, first question. What is a Mauritian trust? What is the legal regime? And also, what are the advantages of having a trust in Mauritius?
In very simple terms, a trust is a legal arrangement whereby a physical person, that we will call him a settlor, is going to transfer assets to trustees in such a way that those trustees can administer and manage those trusts for the benefit of predetermined beneficiaries. Now, in the Mauritian context, this is under the Trust Act, and there are a number of requirements for Mauritius. So that includes having one qualified trustee. A qualified trustee is defined in law and imposes a number of rules and obligations. So not everyone can be a qualified trustee, and therefore the fiduciary obligation is even at a higher threshold than for a normal trustee.
Shane, an athlete has many sources of income, whether it's the income as a professional, sponsorship deals, or advertising. But how do they structure it in Mauritius? But also that should pertain to their expenses and also their investments.
No, absolutely. So a trust is a very powerful tool. It can be used not only for asset protection, but also for wealth management, for succession planning and tax optimization. Now, how do we do this is going to be dependent on very specific circumstances. It's going to depend on the settler's original fiscal residence, on where he's based, on where he works, and a number of other variables that we'll need to analyze on a case-to-case basis. Having said that, the assets that are transferred can be in terms of physical property, can be in terms of rights, of income streams that can come in. And down the road, well, it will be up to the trustees to also not only look after these assets, but also down the line to transmit, transfer, make distributions to beneficiaries. For instance, if tomorrow you have children that are going to attend college or boarding school, and that those fees would need to be paid. Now, this is one of the arsenal that is available to athletes in terms of how they can structure both their incomings and their expenses. A trust is one of the tools. They can also look into setting up a family office, which will help them have a more holistic approach to how their assets are being managed and how their recurring expenses are also being taken care of.
Shane, thank you very much for these insights, and thank you very much for your time. Please don't go away. We'll be having our second expert, who is none other than Marc Alexandre, the head of investments at Fraser. Marc, thank you for being with us. Athletes they earn massively during their career, but however their career are not as long as other people's career traditionally. So how do they prepare post-retirement?
Sure. Thanks, Roshan, for your question. Actually, to ensure a smooth and successful retirement plan, the top-level athletes have to be in direct contact with specialists. The purpose of this is to set up a proper plan, which is a 3-steps plan. The first one is actually all about the goal itself. The second is about the strategy, and the third is about the discipline. The goal is really obvious. The goal is to reach a certain income at the time of retirement, which will cover all the athlete needs, right? The second is the strategy, which is the mean to achieve this goal. And to achieve it, the way to do it is to diversify a portfolio across all asset classes worldwide and to ensure that this will meet the requirements and the needs of the young retired athletes at the time when we retire. And third is actually the discipline. Discipline is this specific expertise that wealth managers at Afresia Bank have to identify, I would say, market opportunities and to rebalance the portfolio according to market cycle.
Oh, fantastic. I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Mr. Chan previously. He spoke from a legal point of view, you being the head of investment at Afresia. How does an athlete structure his income, whether it's deals, income, sponsors, or any kinds of income from ads, everything, but also their expenses and their investment?
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. The thing is basically you have to prepare your investments when you start thinking about this, and you need to think about this requirement at a very early stage of your career, right? Because as you said, this is a short-lived career. So basically, what you have to do is to engage with your specialists, like the wealth managers in this respect, to define a proper profile and investment plan across an 8 to 10 years investment horizon. This will allow us, or the bank, or the wealth managers, to prepare properly the retirement plan in order to ensure that we got this kind of revenues, incomes generated enough at that time of retirement.
Thank you very much, Marc, for your wonderful insights, and wish you all the best going forward.
Thank you, Roshan. It was a pleasure to share with you all those details.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go away. We still have our third expert. And our third expert is none other than barrister Leila Jorowan. Leila, thank you very much for being with us. Of course, you're from Dentons. The first question, how can a professional athlete use the trust for the protection of his or her assets?
Thank you, Roshan. Well, it's a well-known fact that professional athletes accumulate wealth over a very short period of time. One of the ways of protecting this wealth and securing it from creditors is by using trust. Now, when you use a trust, the property is transferred to the trust and it belongs directly to that trust. Right? So what essentially happens is that having the property within the trust creates a shield between creditors and that property. Now, one of the benefits in Mauritius is that the settlor of a trust can also be a beneficiary, provided he or she is not the sole beneficiary. Another interesting fact is that the property within that trust does not need to be immovable property, but can also be, for example, benefits or proceeds derived from sponsorship agreements.
Leila, if a professional athlete goes through a divorce, how does the trust protect him or her?
Thanks, Roshan. That's actually a good question. A trust can provide effective protection in cases of divorce, especially to athletes. Now, when determining this level of protection, you'd look at how the trust was set up, you'd look at the country where the marriage was contracted, as well as the country where the divorce had been pronounced. Ultimately, in a nutshell, how well the trust was set up will determine the level of protection.
Oh, fantastic. What are the tax obligations for the professional athlete? Is it where they live or as per the trust?
So that's a good question. So tax obligations definitely depend on several factors. As a general rule in Mauritius, it's a rate of 15% on chargeable income. However, you'd also have to see, for example, the income, the type of trust, and even the residency of the trust and the parties thereof. Therefore, it's a very good question to have, and many people have this question in mind, but the ultimate answer will definitely depend on several factors that will need to be assessed to be able to make an accurate conclusion.
Well, thank you very much for your insights, Barrister Leila. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have enjoyed these questions and answers. Stay with us for the next round of questions next time.